At the Diamond League, we got one step closer to answering the question that everyone has been asking. Who is the fastest in the world? Noah Lyles or Kishane Thompson? That's not what the streets are asking, bro. I'm not going to lie. Why? What have the streets been asking? The streets are asking whether Sha'Carri Richardson is faster than Christian Coleman.
She can't catch him, though.
Yeah, she can.
No. She can catch him.
She quick.
And she can beat him.
She can't catch him.
Yeah, she quick.
Catch him and beat him.
Yeah. When it comes to marketing this sport, as a famous woman once said, we got a long way to go. In today's episode, we will touch on those athletes' performances as well as other standouts from the meet, as we're less than a month away from crowning new world champions.
Of what?
In the men's 100 meters, in the men's 100 meters, we had the rematch that we've all been waiting for from Paris last year. Kishane Thompson versus Noah Lyles, and Kishane Thompson was victorious. 9.87 meeting record ahead of Noah Lyles, 9.90 season's best. In third place, we had Kenny Bednarek, who ran 9.96, the same time that Christian Coleman ran in fourth, and Trayvon Bromell ran 9.97. Now, Coleman and Bromell are not going to be at World Championships. They didn't qualify through the US trials. So if you replace them with, say, Oblique Seville and Letsilo Tiboho, this could very much be exactly what the final looks like at the Tokyo World Championships. I think there was some random Polish brother. I need to actually check. Yeah, so shout out Oliver, who ran a 10.3. But outside of that, that could be the final. So this was a good indication of what we could get. And the race panned out the same way it could pan out. Kishane Thompson, he's off. He gets going. He's making a gap on the field. Towards the end, he tightens up. He's like, this happens in a lot of his races. It's like you're watching him and it feels like he could go a lot faster. It feels like something's holding him back. You know when you're doing the training, the running training, and you have the weights attached to you. And bro, I've been thinking of what this drill was called all day, and it just came to me during editing. It's called sled pulls, yeah? Or at least that's what it was called when I used to train. You could tell it's been a minute since I switched from athletics to basketball, because how am I forgetting the name of that, bro? That like slows you down. That's how Kishane Thompson sometimes looks in the last 30 of his race. Meanwhile, Noah Lyles, that's the strength of his race. He doesn't get out as quick, but he closes in on whoever he's up against. And those two contrasting race styles mean that what we're going to get in Tokyo will be special. I'm going to come out straight and say that I don't think Kenny Bednarek or anyone else other than Noah Lyles or Kishane Thompson could win from that field that we just saw at the Diamond League. The only other person who I believe has the speed to win is Oblique Seville. With him, it's down to his health and his execution. A subject that I've done a deep dive into on my page, which you can check out. I'll put the link in the description. But Kishane, I can't lie, like I'm saying what I'm saying about his running style in his last 30, but despite that, he's not lost for a while. He lost at the start of the season against Simbine, but since then, he's been winning all these races by the same kind of margin. And I believe he is the favorite going into Tokyo. I believe he will emerge victorious as the world 100 meter champion on the men's side. What time he'll run, I don't know, but Noah Lyles, yeah, everyone's saying he's working his way back into fitness, and all of this could be invalidated in a few days' time if he now just pops out a mad time in Lausanne, which he said in his interview he's expecting.
And I think we're going to see something really good next week in Lausanne. I think we're going to see something really special.
But I can't lie, we're a month away. Noah Lyles this time last year, not this time last year, because this time last year the Olympics had already happened, but like at this stage of the season last year, so we're talking like June, July, he was running like 9.8s comfortably, regularly. So the concept of him running a high 9.7 to win the final was realistic. At this stage, in the one, the two is a different kettle of fish. In the one, I just don't see it. I don't see it happening unless it's a slow race. Not slow, but if it's going to be one with a 9.8, Noah Lyles can do that. If it's low 9.8s, high 9.7s, I just don't see him getting into that kind of shape in this kind of time. And Kishane Thompson, if he's able to have a good end of a race, we don't know what he could run. I literally mean that. We don't know the type of speeds he could get to, but we do know it can be very quick. Even without that being perfect though, I believe he has it in his locker to get the job done. The reality is the time doesn't matter at World Champs. It's literally just about gold, silver, bronze. Kishane and Noah ran the same time last year. Even if he runs slower this year and wins, that's all that matters. And I'm backing Kishane. I think he's going to do it. But what do you think in the comments? Do you think it will be Kishane Thompson? Do you think Noah Lyles? Do you think I'm writing them off too early? Because every time it seems like people write off Noah Lyles, he comes and proves them wrong. So do you think I'm going to get proven wrong? Is Kenny going to come out and win? He said he's going to win 3 golds. Do you think this is one of them? Do you believe in Oblique, Taboho, or anyone else? Let me know in the comments below. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, MJ Dubs. She continued her season of dubs only. 10-6-6 to continue her unbeaten streak. That's 10-6 in back-to-back races now. Now, a couple months ago, I backed Julien Alfred to do the double at the World Champs. And some of you at the time agreed, some disagreed. But now with Alfred out with a hamstring injury and Melissa Jefferson-Wooden running these ridiculous times against everyone, no one has been able to beat her this season, even Julien Alfred herself. Is she the favorite going into World Champs? Now, you know, I'm not going to change my pick because I'm sticking to that. Assuming Juju returns to peak fitness before Champs, because if not, it's a long day, I won't lie. But objectively, I think people believe, based on the times that she's been running so effortlessly and all the athletes that she's just been holding off pretty comfortably, that when it comes to the 100 meters, it is her race to lose. But outside of Julien Alfred, who are her contenders for this title? But let's not forget about reigning world champion Sha'Carri Richardson, because she was also in this race today. She finished in 6th place, I believe, with 11:05, which is actually a season's best for her. I'm gonna keep it real, ahead of these world champs, in terms of retaining her title, it's not looking good, bruv. Now, like many athletes, she's been dealing with, you know, trying to get herself back into physical fitness, managing her body, injuries, all those different things. But as I've said, we're a month away now from these world championships, and she has not shown any glimpse of form that we saw last season or the season before in which she won those champs. So much so that, I'll be honest, if she did not make the final for the 100, would I be shocked? Not entirely, but if she managed to make the final and managed to medal, would I be shocked? 100%, because with Sha'Carri, the speed, the talent has never been in question. It's just been about, you know, physical health, mental, you know, on and off the track, and race execution. And none of those have been ideal for her this season. And she finds herself in a position in which she's trailing races. Like, normally her start can be a bit shaky, but her acceleration phase is just not hitting the same way they used to. And a lot of times, if you see when she's behind in races, she tends to, I don't want to say give up. I could say give up if I wanted to, but let's just say ease off the gas. Like that 11:05, she ran through the tape, could have easily been a sub 11. But because she was, you know, so far behind the field, I also don't know. I've been trying to find like interviews and stuff, so I don't know how her physical health is right now. But what I saw from her interview at US trials was that she felt healthy and ready to build her way, you know, back to prime form for champs. And we're just not seeing it right now.
How will you be spending these 2 weeks getting ready for USAs?
I will be spending these 2 weeks, now that I have the confidence of health, I'll be spending these 2 weeks just working on speed endurance and knowing that when I come back here to the Magic Stadium, I'm going to be at my fullest and more confident in not executing just a healthy race, but a speedy race too.
But let's get back to the topic at hand here, because we've spoken about the 100 contenders, and on the 200, it's still predominantly Melissa Jefferson-Wooden and Julien Alfred. Again, assuming that Julien Alfred gets back to full health at the start of the champs and form. But today, we saw a season's best from one of the greatest sprinters ever, Shericka Jackson. In the 200 meters, 22.17 seconds. She will be looking to round into form in time for the World Championships and challenge for medals, preferably gold. Now, I've been called out in the past for not backing Shericka Jackson to win these champs, and it's not because I underestimate her greatness. At her peak, I don't think any of these girls could touch her in the 200. Not even, no Gabby Thomas, not Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, not Julien Alfred. This version of them, who knows what they're going to go on to achieve, right? I don't think any woman alive could touch Shericka Jackson, prime Shericka Jackson, right? So the question is not about Shericka Jackson's peak speed in her career. It's about this season, right now. Can she reach those 21 mids? Because that's what I think is going to be needed to win this championship. Maybe a 21 6, 7, and I think it's possible. Like, I'm not going to rule her out and say that she cannot run that, but I personally just think that I saw Julien Alfred run the 21-7-1 on that London track, and she was chilling, yeah, in the first 100 of that. The way that she finished that race, I don't see this version of Shericka Jackson beating her. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think that's an absolute, it's just an opinion. But what do you think? What do you think the podium will be? Will it be any of the athletes that I've just mentioned, or am I sleeping on someone else, like, say, a Gabby Thomas, the reigning Olympic champion? Let me know your podium for the women's 100 meters and 200 meters in the comments below. This is Marileidy Paulino in last place with not that long left of the race. And this is her at the end of the race, winning quite comfortably against Salwa Naser with a time of 49.18 to Naser's 49.27. Now in real time, it kind of looked crazy, the way she just ate up the third fastest 400 meter runner of all time. But if you've been watching Paulino, you know this is what she does. This is how she runs. Her last 200 is so strong. She can literally catch up anyone ever, really, in history. And if you watched her post-race interview, you likely, because the majority of my viewers are English speaking, did not understand what she was saying because she was speaking Spanish. But lucky for you, Spanish is my third language.
Estoy tratando solamente de enfocarme en la primera parte, que es lo que tengo que buscar para poder hacer el sub 47.
And she was basically saying that she just needs to focus on the first 200 of her race, and if she does that, she can run a 47. I believe her strongly. And if she does do that, Naser continues progressing, and we now throw Sydney into the mix. What could that 400 meter final even look like? Now, I've done a more in-depth video on this, talking about Sydney in the 400 and what that transition could look like in the next few years, starting now ahead of Tokyo. But with the different race styles of these athletes, like Naser, the way she just goes for it at the start, Sydney quite similar, but she's still establishing her race style as she adjusts to the new event, and Paulino, who has such a strong finish, that race could look insane. Like, it would be so unpredictable. You could be with 100 meters left and have zero idea who's going to win, despite them being in three completely different positions on the track. I just can't bet against Paulino though. I'm sorry, I just can't. I can see it happening. I can see Naser, because Naser, we've seen that Naser, the pace that she was running the first 300, we've seen that she can execute that throughout a 400 meters. We've seen it before. So we can see it again, particularly with this level of competition. Sydney is a bit of a wild card. Like, everyone kind of knows she low-key could drop a 47. Like, we know that, but equally, we don't really know her patterns and tendencies the same way that we know the others, because we've seen them run 400 so much. So anything could happen with Sydney, but Paulino's just looking so strong. And the fact that she can consistently be that far behind against elite runners and just eat them up like that, even if she's in that position in the world champs, I would still have her favored to close in, because it's one thing being chased, it's another thing being the chaser. When you're the chaser, we saw it last year in the men's 400 final. It's different, man. It is different. If you've got that momentum, it is so hard for the one being chased to hold off. So if Marileidy does work on that first 200 and even being level with them, man, without compensating too much on the other side, it's long. I'm sorry, it's long. Is she a talented sprinter? Of course. Is she one of the fastest women of all time? Yes. But no, the Breakfast Club, she is not faster than Christian Coleman.
They're both athletes. You know, I know her, but him, isn't he like
he's a huge sprinter. Yes,
right?
Yep.
He's a star.
Very successful as well.
She can't catch him then.
Yeah, she can.
No. She can catch him.
She quick.
And she can beat him.
Quick.
She can't catch him.
Yeah,
And
she quick.
did you
Catch him and beat him.
She can't catch
And I was
him.
gonna say, did you see the video?
And they race, he'll dust her.
No, she won't.
Man, I hate to be the
swing
guy to have to
again,
say
she-
this, but he's a man, she's a woman. Okay, all right.
Doesn't mean that. I think she's one of the fastest women in the world.
But your speed don't
She
matter
did
about
the-
your gender. It's your strength, but your speed.
10.71 seconds, so he's faster.
Okay, she's faster.
That's according
come on
to
now,
these
stop thinking
outlets.
got nothing to do with him being a man, yo.
Yes, it
I didn't know
does.
he was that fast. He's a sprinter. Doesn't mean.
Yes, it does,
All
Jess.
right.
Oh, yo,
It does,
it
okay?
does not.
This lack of comprehension and understanding of the sport is not surprising in the least, because a lot of people know that track and field does not have visibility or just understanding, particularly amongst the American public. Here in Europe, in other places, you know, people understand what's going on. People at least understand the concept of one of the fastest men in the world being faster than one of the fastest women in the world. But what I want to know from you guys is, what can we do as a sport to increase understanding. It's not even about fandom, but just understanding of the sport amongst the masses, to the point where when talking about the fastest women in the world, people aren't just assuming, like, people think that Sha'Carri is just like the Usain Bolt of women currently. And as I said, she's one of the fastest women of all time. She's the reigning world champion. But what can we do as a sport to get people to actually understand the ins and outs of the sport, or at least understand the magnitude of how fast the fastest men are in the world, the fastest women are in the world? Like, if you ask your average person, particularly in America, who's the fastest woman in the world, a lot of them would say Sha'Carri, maybe a Flojo as the world record holder. But the true determinants as to who the fastest women in the world are, they don't really understand. Like, the fastest woman alive is Lane Thompson. They wouldn't know that. I'm talking about the general person, by the way. Obviously not you, because you're this far into this video. Of course you have an understanding of track and field. The general person on the street would not know that Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is the fastest woman in the world this year. Would not know that Julien Alfred is the Olympic champion and therefore technically the reigning fastest woman in the world, despite watching to see if Sha'Carri would win that race. And supposedly, I know this is one podcast or whatever you call them, radio show, that, you know, doesn't know about sports, but I think they are a good representation of the wider public's perception of track and field. Cannot even comprehend or use common sense to realize that an elite male sprinter has a faster time than an elite female sprinter. So I have a lot of ideas and have shared previously on this platform and on other platforms like Lucoco on TikTok, Lucoco TV on Instagram, both of which you should follow for more content like this. I've shared what I feel like the sport can do to grow its visibility, but I want to know you guys' opinions. Now, these Diamond Leagues are coming thick and fast as we approach the end of the season. The next one's in Lausanne, in Switzerland. So make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss that episode, 20th of August. And in the meantime, if you need a bit more of a track fix, I've got so many videos you can binge on this channel. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for watching Oko TV. It's been real.